everyone, it's Magical Girl Fab, and I am here with another Puzzle Monster Quest guide. This one is a little explanation on how weapons work in the game. So there are a bunch of different weapons that you can forge and create as you play Puzzle Monster Quest, and they all do different things, and they can help you in different ways. So I'm going to explain it for you. So when you first start the game, you have a sword. Swords are very high damage causing weapons. Here, I'll open this one to show you. They cause a lot of damage. So yeah, if you're just starting out, I highly recommend a sword. You can get the most done that way. Swords are melee weapons, so in order to do a basic attack with a sword, you have to chain tiles right next to the monsters, either top, bottom, left, or right. And then that will do a basic attack. Also, its skills do require more close combat to be the most beneficial. So keep that in mind when you're using a sword. Special skills for swords typically are in the shapes of a cross, so up, down, left, right. And like this one shows, the higher the chain that you make in your chain skill, the more reach that chain skill attack has. So keep that in mind when you're getting swords if you decide to go with a sword in a dungeon. Check out the little weapon information, that page, when you're thinking about, picking a new weapon or trying something else, or just statting out the equipment of your character. Alright, so the next ones are axes. Axes are also melee weapons. They don't cause quite as much damage, but they do have a higher chance of crit, typically. And when they do crit, they cause high amounts of damage. So again, in order to use an axe, you do have to chain top, bottom, left, or right to get a basic attack into a monster. And then their special attacks, here I'll open this guy to show you, are typically in a square shape or a diamond shape around your character. So like this one shows, the normal skill is just that square, like blue shape around your character. And then your chain skill, depending on how many you chain, it'll either be a square or a diamond shape. Again, you do have to be pretty close range to get a good attack off on an axe. The smith guy also recommends, I don't know if this one, to use axes against bosses and fast-moving enemies. So there's a little tip there from the smith. Daggers are pretty sweet. They are low damage causing weapons. However, daggers allow you to attack at a diagonal. So typically all of the weapons in the game require you to chain either top, bottom, left, or right of the monster in order to do attacks. Daggers allow you to chain not only top, bottom, left, right, but also in the diagonal parts, diagonal tiles of the monster. So even though it's low damage, you can get more hits into an attack just because you have more options on how to hit the guy. Let me open this one to show you. So skills are typically done again in squares or diamonds, just like the axe, except daggers don't have as much range. You can see that in the skill chain option here. It's like missing, I think, two squares. Yeah. So you don't quite get as much range in a dagger than you do an axe. But again, you're doing like faster attacks essentially. So it is pretty great. The smith recommends that daggers are used with enemies of the same element, especially a huge team of enemies of the same element. Again, that way you can get more attacks in at once. On to bows. So bows are ranged weapons. They are a little more difficult to use, so I don't recommend a newer player using a bow. They are ranged, so their special skills will hit enemies in a close area. You are still able to hit enemies that you chain top, bottom, left, right, but it is really low. You do the most damage by getting high enough chain skill so you can attack 2 to 3 enemies on the board. You can see that right here in the chain skill area. Your 5 chain, you'll hit 2 enemies close to you, 3 chain, you'll hit, or 7 chain, you'll hit 3 enemies close to you. Otherwise, the bow special skill attacks everyone on the board. So that is super useful when you are using a bow. Yeah, so keep that in mind when you're using it. And then what does the smith say? Because bow skills can strike multiple enemies at once, they are a very versatile weapon. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Okay, so staffs I recommend for newer players. Staffs are really easy to use. They are ranged weapons, so you don't have to chain next to a monster. However, unlike the bow, you will actually not cause any damage if you chain next to a monster when you have a staff equipped. I guess it's because it's magic, and staffs are very fragile magical weapons, and if you smack someone, you will probably break it. But the nice thing about staffs is no matter what, as long as you get a high enough chain, you will attack every creature on the board. So right here it shows a chain of 4. You deal damage to all enemies. And then if you deal higher, you deal that 6 chain, you will just increase your skill's damage. No matter what, you're going to hit everyone on the board. And then your special skill, again, hits everyone on the board. No one is safe when you have a staff. So I recommend using staffs for new players because you don't have to get really in there or do like really complicated chains to hit all of the monsters and wrap around. You can stay pretty far back so you're nice and safe and not going to get hit, but you're still going to cause damage when you're keeping it safe in the background. Alright, so that is my mini guide on how to use equipment and weapons, especially in Puzzle Monster Quest. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Magical Girl Fab. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch. Right, camera's weird. No. There. Right there, Magical Girl Fab. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.